Hi, my name is Mary Tamer. I'm running for Boston City Council in District 6 in Boston, which includes the neighborhoods of West Roxbury, Jamaica Plain, a little part of Roslindale, Mission Hill, and Roxbury. I'm also a proud member of the Arab American community. My grandparents on one side were from Zahle in Lebanon, from Damascus, Syria on the other side. So all the people in my family were small business owners here in Boston, and so I grew up in a family where hard work was very important, but family time, being together as a community, all the activities at the church. And so one of the reasons why I'm running today is that we face a lot of challenges here in Boston, and I want to help to bring people back together. We've been struggling with a pandemic that's been impacting people all over the world. And so we want to make sure that people have the access to healthcare, that business owners have the access to the help that they need to get through this period of challenge. But we also want to make sure that our kids are back in school, that schools are safe places for our children, and that all of our children are getting the quality education they need in order to be successful in their lives. And I also want to focus on public health. Once we get through this pandemic, I want to make sure that we don't have healthcare disparities across our cities, and that everyone here has the access to doctor care, nursing care, whatever it is that they need to live a healthy, fulfilled life. And so I really hope to represent the city of Boston. It would be a proud, first city councilor of Lebanese and Syrian ethnicity. And so this is what I'm hoping for, and look forward to having the support from the community to win this race. So thank you so much.
Well, I would like to thank you all for coming to this evening to help me support our dear friend and our very own, as you all know, Mary Tamer. I didn't know Mary before this campaign. I just met her because of this campaign. A mutual friend connected us, but we had real good conversations on the phone and in person. And the more I got to know Mary, the more I felt, yes, this is the one we need to be behind. And it brought to me also pride. Pride that, you probably all know me, that for years, for a long time, not years, I've been involved in city politics. It's in my veins, in my blood. It's in the way city politics is always something I do. But I've never had the same feeling like I have with Mary. Because I always thought to myself, why not our people come forward and do this? And this is basically why it has been so special to me. Mary didn't just step into this campaign. Mary been involved as a school committee member for years. Also, she was involved with the League of Women Voters, and if all of you know what the League of Women Voters does and get involved in, you would know exactly where she's coming from. And she was the president of the League. So that's how much she's been involved. So she's coming in with a lot of knowledge, lots of experience, and lots of determination to do the right thing. I like to recognize here some few individuals that touched me, that you are here. First, the president of the board of my church, Michelle Nami. Second, the president of ABBA, where I preceded her by being a president, and I take a lot of pride in that, Linda. Who else is here that have a title? And also I'd like to. and this is not just the Lebanese, like it's called the Lebanese community. Really, it's a Syrian Lebanese community that is here tonight. There's a lot of Syrian friends that are with us here tonight, and a lot of mostly Lebanese, but a lot of Syrian friends. So I truly appreciate that. I appreciate that very, very much. And also, I'd like to recognize Michelle Haider here. And the reason I like to recognize Michelle Haider for one single thing. Mary, you never heard that from me. You'll hear it now. Michelle, for years, been predicting that the situation in Lebanon is going to get worse. economic situation. And he's always been talking about supporting the people in Lebanon by supporting the agriculture in Lebanon. And when this pandemic came and the collapse of the government and the banking system and the jobs disappeared and the money disappeared, Michelle reminded us in a social meeting like this, and we all jumped in with him. And he already formed a company here and 2 companies back home. He already pumped in over $400,000 in El Cura, and hopefully will spread more than just Cura next year and others. And he's doing very well. The olive oil is here. You can all buy it. I think most of you bought olive oil. Let's buy more. And congratulations, Michelle. And you need admiration. You need to be applauded for that.
Remember, it's a team effort.
It is team effort, but it was your idea. And thank you. Thank you for it. And now I will give the floor to Mary, and let's hear what Mary has to tell us.
Thanks so much. Thank you so much. Oh. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to see so many people here. When we launched this campaign back in December, everything was on Zoom. So honestly, to be around this many people in such a beautiful setting, thank you, Lorda. Thank you, Elias, for letting us come to your wonderful home in this amazing backyard that I'm very jealous and envious of, I'm not going to lie. This reminds me, my Sikhu had a beautiful grapevine outside her house. I was lucky to grow up. My grandparents, my Sikhu and my Jadoo, had a 2-family house on Washington Street, 3 blocks away from the Beethoven School. So just like my father and his siblings, I walked to the Beethoven School every single day. I loved school from the very beginning of going there, and so many members of our community were there. And to Elias's point, it's very hard to believe that if I am elected come November, I will be the first Boston City Councilor of Lebanese and Syrian ethnicity. So to think that this has not happened yet, we have to win. There is no other option, because it's hard for me to believe, given that we have an amazing, vibrant, wonderful, loving family here, that we have not had. I walked to the Beethoven School every single day. I loved school from the very beginning of going there, and so many members of our community were there. And to Elias's point, it's very hard to believe that if I am elected come November, I will be the first Boston City Councilor of Lebanese and Syrian ethnicity. So to think that this has not happened yet, we have to win. There is no other option, because it's hard for me to believe, given that we have an amazing, vibrant, wonderful, loving family here, that we have not had representation on the council. And so that means a lot to me. My grandparents came here, and my grandmother had her own shop on Grove Street in West Roxbury. My grandmother was a seamstress. My grandfather was disabled in World War II. He was in the Coast Guard. So my grandmother had 3 kids at home, and she went to work, and she employed dozens of women. And they made suits for Jordan Marsh and Filene's and all the department stores in Boston. And so we used to go, after school, we would walk from the Beethoven School to Grove Street to go visit my grandmother. And all the women would come and say hello to us, and it was wonderful. But one of the reasons why I'm running now is not only to represent this incredible community, but to also help us recover from what we are coming through right now. The pandemic has wreaked havoc on all of our lives in different ways. I've met people here tonight who had COVID. I know your brother was one of them. We know what's been happening in Lebanon. My husband Paul and I just want to say thanks to Paul for making everything possible, including this run for office, and my campaign manager Crane as well. So I just want to give them a thank you too. Our oldest son, though, is in his last year at American University in Beirut. He's been going to school. This is going to be his 5th year. He's been doing a double major. He has been studying computer science and Arabic and Middle Eastern literature. So unlike his mother, who my parents used Arabic as their secret language, so my sisters and I would be sitting at the table, and once we were able to spell, and they couldn't spell words and us not know what they were talking about, they used Arabic as their secret language. So my sisters and I have been in the dark. I admit I know some bad words. I will not share them now. But that being said, our son, our older son, embraced his ethnicity and started taking Arabic when he was in the 8th grade in the Boston Public Schools. He found a program. He started going. And it was after his junior year of high school, he said, I'm going to Lebanon because I want the Lebanese accent, the Lebanese dialect. So he found a program in Lebanon. So his mother hopped on a plane with her 17-year-old. And this is a kid, and I want to say, I'm a city person. Like, I don't camp, I don't sleep outside. Like, I grew up in the city, I lock my doors. My child has never been camping. He doesn't know how to change a toilet paper roll, and he doesn't know how to pick his boxer shorts off the floor. But somehow in Beirut, he navigates like he's been there his entire life. And I can't figure it out. And so he went there for 6 weeks, and he came back and said, I'm going to school in Lebanon. And I thought, oh my God. I couldn't believe it. But what it has done for me, it has reconnected me with my family from Zahle, my cousins who are now all over. My son has been embraced by people that he never knew until his mother took him there and introduced him to the family. And he navigates like a native. He initially was living right near the campus in Hamra, so he was right in Hamra. And he's very tall for Lebanese. He's about 6'2", 6'3". And all the shopkeepers, you know, when I would visit him, and Max walks down the street, and all the men, Max, like everybody knows who he is. He stands out in this community, and so, but we have enjoyed his time there. We worry about him. We worry about the Lebanese people. We worry about what's happening there right now, and we always pray for them and wish them the very best. He stands out in this community, and so, but we have enjoyed his time there. We worry about him. We worry about the Lebanese people. We worry about what's happening there right now. And we always pray for them and wish them the very best. So I want to help our community here as well. I want to make sure that all the small business owners, like my grandparents, are able to make it through this time. We need to use, the city is coming into hundreds of millions of dollars in federal relief money. We need to make sure we are using that money to support the people who are struggling. They can't pay their mortgage right now. They can't pay their rent where they have their business. We have to make sure that people have the supports that they need to get through this. Most importantly, as Elias said, I'm a former school committee member here in Boston. When I was on the school committee, I was the only person who had children in the schools, and I went through the schools myself. We need to make sure that every child in the city of Boston is getting their money's worth when it comes to an education in the city. It's not happening now. We've had a lot of conversation around the 3 exam schools, and my husband and I both went to the exam schools, and we were very fortunate. We've spent so much time talking about 3 schools when we have 33 schools in the city that are in the bottom 10% of the state. 33 schools, that's 1/3 of our school system, where kids are not reading on grade level. We are failing our children. And if there is something that I have picked up as a Lebanese Syrian woman, there is nothing more important than our children. And it is upon us to do everything for them that we can. So that's number 2 reason. Number 3 is, at some point, inshallah, we'll be through this pandemic, right? At some point. Our lives are going to look different for a while, and we have to protect ourselves and our families. But the thing is that we have vast health discrepancies here in the city of Boston. We have so many families that are living in poverty. We have children who don't have access to health care. We have pregnant mothers who don't have the access to health care. We have 2 neighborhoods that are 2 miles apart in the city of Boston, Back Bay and Roxbury. There's a 30-year difference in life expectancy in 2 neighborhoods, 30 years. And imagine, as someone who, I unfortunately lost my father at the age of 49, when I think about if I could have had my father for 30 more years, like, that is no small task. We are an incredibly resource-rich city. We can do better. We can do better for everyone, whether it's our kids, whether it's our seniors. We need to seize this opportunity, use this federal relief money, and do the best for all of our citizens. And that's really what I want to do. And my gratitude to have you here, to meet you, to be in my community and feel so at home as I do. I might stay for a while, Elias. But honestly, my heart is like overwhelmed right now. So I thank you, my friend,
Thanks, my wife.
And you Lord too. No, honestly, it is wonderful to meet you all, to see you, and to have this kind of support in my campaign and in my life. So thank you all for being here. Please stay safe.
I apologize from Profile News because I really failed to mention that this is covered by Profile News. Jeanette, Gusa, and Elias right here. They took the interview, they are writing a story, they do all what they can to make sure we are on the social media platform. So thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.